Alright, so today we're going to be doing another one of those kind of like random stream of news topics and just random things, because there's really not just like one thing that's probably enough to make a video on, or I've already made videos on the subject and this is just updates. So let's get into it. Most of them are all entertainment related, or actually they all might be entertainment related, so let's just get into it. So first up, today we saw the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy, 9 members of the cast to be specific, coming forward in support of James Gunn. Now they've all basically said that they obviously don't support any of the messages, the tweets, the statements he made 10 years ago, but that they do stand by with him as a director, believe he has changed, and believe that his current actions outweigh the stupidity of 10 years ago. So I'll just read out the statement for you guys in case you haven't seen it. So, to our fans and friends, we fully support James Gunn. We were all shocked by his abrupt firing last week and have intentionally waited these 10 days to respond in order to think, pray, listen, and discuss. And I would like to say that Dave Bautista definitely did not wait. That man was in within an hour. In that time, we've been encouraged by the outpouring of support from fans and members of the media who wish to see James reinstated as director of Volume 3, as well as discouraged by those so easily duped into believing the many outlandish conspiracy theories surrounding him. Being in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies has been a great honor in each of our lives. We cannot let this moment pass without expressing our love, support, and gratitude for James. We are not here to defend his jokes of many years ago, but rather to share our experience having spent many years together on set making Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. The character he has shown in the wake of his firing is consistent with the man he was every day on set. And his apology now and from years ago, when first addressing these remarks, we believe is from the heart. A heart we all know, trust, and love. In casting each of us to help him tell the story of misfits who find redemption, he changed our lives forever. We believe the theme of redemption has never been more relevant than now. Each of us looks forward to working with our friend James again in the future. His story isn't over, not by a long shot. There is little due process in the court of public opinion. James is likely not the last good person to be put on trial. Given the growing political divide in this country, it's safe to say that instances like this will continue, although we hope Americans from across the political spectrum can ease up on the character assassinations and stop weaponizing mob mentality. It is our hope that what has transpired can serve as an example for all of us to realize the enormous responsibility we have to ourselves and to each other regarding the use of our written words when we etch them in the digital stone. That we as a society may learn from this experience, and in the future will think twice before we decide what we want to express. And in so, learning perhaps can harness this capability to help and heal instead of hurting each other. Thank you for taking the time to read our words, the Guardians of the Galaxy. And that was signed off by Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, Bradley Cooper, Vin Diesel, Sean Gunn, Pom Klementieff, and Michael Rooker. So that's pretty much any of like the main cast members over the course of the last 2 movies. Obviously Sean Gunn is his brother and it would make sense for him to defend him, but the fact that they got everybody's signature on this is kind of pretty telling. Just as you're seeing in the public eye, if people turn on you, it can literally be the end of your career. If enough people decide that they don't like what you stand for or what you said, like that could be it for you. Just like they mentioned in their letter, it's the court of public opinion. And in some situations that can be an incredible tool, and the court of public opinion does matter, but in other situations it can just be a lot of misplaced anger. So the fact that they all kind of came together as this unified front is really interesting to see, considering what the larger stakes are for their careers. Now in terms of what that letter might mean, I don't actually think it will change anything, but I do think that Disney was so rash on the firing because, like I mentioned, the Fox merger was going through, and because they were probably trying to reduce the amount of backlash they were getting, and this is really not going to help that. So while I don't necessarily think this will change anything, there might be like a 10% that they go back on their word, but I honestly feel like that is pretty much, that's done. And now I'm just kind of interested to see what happens as a result of this. And speaking of Disney, that Fox merger actually apparently went through, so Marvel and by proxy Disney now own Fantastic Four, X-Men, and anything else that Fox still had ownership of. So on the one hand, it's like awesome, we're gonna maybe get some really awesome X-Men movies and then maybe finally a good Fantastic Four story, but on the other hand, that's like really terrifying if you think about it. Like no company should have that much of a market share. Like the fact that they are buying the entirety of Fox Entertainment, that's a lot. So while a lot of people are excited with the prospect of them getting their Marvel properties back, in terms of a business standpoint, it's actually really terrifying that this was legally allowed to happen. So I'd also asked on my Twitter if there was anything that you guys wanted to hear me talk about, and somebody asked about my opinions on Laura Dern and Sam Neill, or Dr. Sattler and Alan Grant from the original Jurassic Park movies being in Jurassic World 3. And for like the sake of my brain and love of Jurassic Park 1 in the books, I would like them to stay so far away from the Jurassic World series. But if they can actually make a good movie out of it, like I'm not opposed to the movie. It's just this last one I hated so much. A lot of people are like, oh, maybe they're just gonna get featured in a small way like Ian Malcolm did, but that would kind of be cheap. I don't know if them being in it more could save it. It feels very Star Wars. It feels very Star Wars, which is bringing back the older cast. And while there's nothing necessarily confirmed on that, Colin Trevorrow was doing an interview in which somebody asked him specifically if fans would feel cheated if they were not featured in the last installment. And he said that he would feel cheated. And then there was some like winking back and forth. And then there's been like a couple tweets between Chris Pratt and Sam Neill on Twitter that make it seem like there's a really good possibility that they will pop back up. And honestly, it can only help them at this point. You know, it's like, okay, this one pissed off a lot of people. People like old stuff and nostalgia. Let's bring them back in. Bring them back in. You know, people like the 2 seconds of Ian Malcolm in the last one. Let's bring them back in. Because apparently there's a chance that this is supposed to be the very last Jurassic Park movie. So I guess it might be nice to bring some of the original cast members back and try to like finish off that storyline with the new cast of people. But there is so many open-ended plot points from the last one to try to pull into this one and wrap it up that plugging in those characters might feel really weird. And then swinging over to Star Wars news, it has been confirmed that Carrie Fisher will be featured in Episode 9 as well as Mark Hamill and Billy Dee Williams, which was already confirmed, but just kind of like putting that in there considering he's the only one who hasn't been in the movies yet. But at this point, Luke is dead, and unfortunately Carrie Fisher did pass away. They're not doing the thing that they did with Rogue One. Apparently they have enough footage left over from The Force Awakens that was never before seen that they're going to use that to plug it in, because J.J. Abrams is the director in charge of it again, so it's basically his job to bridge whatever his vision was in The Force Awakens, what ended up happening in The Last Jedi, and what he wants to finish off with. So apparently they're using footage from that. And then Mark Hamill, I don't know if he's going to be Ghost Mark Hamill, I don't know if there's going to be flashback scenes or something, but it's their job now to try to bridge this together, and unfortunately they were left in a really tough situation when Carrie Fisher unfortunately passed away, and it obviously would have changed what they were planning to do with her character in the future. And then I'm very interested to know what they're planning on doing with Lando. I don't know why they're bringing Lando in, but I guess he's the only one they have left now. It's like everybody else is gone, so gotta do something. In terms of my opinions on that, I am fine with the fact that they're using previously unreleased footage of Carrie Fisher. I think that they, like I said, were kind of left in a tough situation where you don't want to write her out off screen, because that seems like a disservice to her character over the past, 40 years. But at the same time, it would also seem rude to use some kind of like digital recreation to put her in the movie. So I think that the best compromise is finding a way to use the footage that we haven't seen to bridge the gap of her being in this story, and find a way to like gracefully write her out off screen or with the footage that they have. They have a big task ahead of them, but I trust J.J. Abrams. He made me like Star Trek, so I have a little bit of faith. Anyways, that is gonna do it for today's topic of discussion. I know it was just a lot of random like media related things, but that's what people wanted me to talk about when I asked on Twitter. So thank you all so much for watching. If you have any thoughts on anything discussed, feel free to leave them down below. Let me know what you're thinking. I hope you all had a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all later.